Hey there traders, thanks for joining me for this free video from thestockbandit.com. I just wanted to give you a video recap of last week's trades that I took at thestockbandit.com. It was week 10 of the year, and it was an abbreviated week of trading for me due to some travel to Atlanta, which prevented me from trading on Friday. So for me it was a 4-day trading week, and all in all it was a profitable week. And I normally post these videos sometime over the weekend, but it's a recap. So it's better late than never. I was traveling, and this is my first chance to get down and actually do this. So here we go. So last week, on Monday, I took a few day trades. And let me just walk you through them. The first one was in this Delphi Automotive. It's been a really strong stock. The trend has been up. By the way, if you're not watching this in the full screen mode and on the 720p setting, that's the HD setting, you're not getting the best quality. So go ahead and shift over to that, and you can do that right here in the middle of the video. But you know, this has been a really good, strong stock, and more recently it had kind of rallied up and based and then attempted to lift a little bit more and rested. So I was looking to get long through this trend line, and on Monday it did cross that trend line. That was at 32.60, but the stock did not head much higher. In fact, it only got briefly through that level and then it rolled back over and stopped me out. I took my 1% loss on that breakout attempt failure. Next, I took a trade in RIG, which is obviously another stock that's been acting well. We've seen a nice rally and some rest and some continuation, and then just kind of a multi-day little pullback here, and that created this little pivot here, this little trend line that I was looking for, you know, a spot to get long above that trend line. So that was crossed also on Monday at $54.40. But here again, this stock did not make hardly any move beyond that level before it rolled back over and stopped me out. So you know, got a downside reversal there with the market, and I got taken out for a minor 1% stop, which is really, you know, my typical starting point for a loss, for my initial stop loss for most day trades, unless I specify otherwise to subscribers. Also took a trade in this CP, which had done a couple of things. If I zoom out here on the chart, you see that we had this multi-month uptrend line. So this thing was in really good technical health, you know, for a period of time, and then it pulled back enough here and it broke that trend line. That did not constitute a trend change. It just meant that the pace of this trend was changing. But over the next few weeks, this thing rallied back up and was unable to reclaim this broken trend line. So that resulted in a lower high, and you can see that here on the chart. In fact, even this week, that's still intact. So we've got what looks to be a bit of a trend change in this stock, but we had kind of created a secondary rising trend line, which I was looking to short this stock if that was broken. And you know, we saw right here on Friday, it started to get broken. You know, I was looking for a break right here at $74.60, and you know, this thing didn't go far enough for me to book a profit. It didn't go far enough against me to stop out for the 1% loss. So by the end of the day, I closed it out for a 57-cent loss, which is less than 1%. So you know, three losing trades to start out the week. But again, it gets better because it ended up being a positive week. So I just had to keep taking trades. That's just so often the case. On Tuesday, we saw the market gap lower. It went through my intended short sale candidates, so I did not chase those entries, and the longs that I had set up for potential plays never triggered. So I had no trades on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I took a trade in this DPZ, which is Dominos Pizza. We had seen a breakaway gap to the upside out of this multi-month symmetrical triangle pattern, and that also came on very heavy volume that we see. So big burst higher, and then just some basing action or some churning in the stock here. It just created this real well-defined flag pattern. So I wanted to get long above this trend line. Now we did have the one day here where it cleared that level. Yes, that's true, and a lot of times we'll use those peaks with a trend line. However, in this case, we had multiple days. You know, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days out of 6 here where this same level was being respected, and that was the whole number at $39. So I wanted to get long through the $39.05 level, and that triggered an entry right here on Wednesday. So I got a nice little pop here. This thing ran to $39.92, so that was a little over a 2% run. So a nice little trade there. On Thursday, I took a few trades as well. One of them was in this APOL, which is Apollo Group. A lot of these education stocks have had this look. And essentially we've seen a very swift move down, some stabilization, and then it looked like it had kind of an opportunity for this little rebound, kind of a hook type of a move. And in fact, I've got an article coming out very soon in Active Trader magazine where I outline this type of play, and I call it the slingshot. So be watching for that. I believe it's probably in the May issue. But you know, this was one of those types of candidates, and these don't all work. In fact, this is one that you know, really actually never did pan out. However, here was the setup. I went long on Thursday as it cleared this level right here, made a multi-day high. So that was at 42.80. But this thing didn't make much further progress before it reversed back lower, back down kind of into this little base that's been support. So I took my 1% stop loss there. I also took a trade in this Vertex, VRTX, which had been seeing higher lows with this uptrend line, and we had real well-defined upper resistance here. I took it on a break through that resistance. That was right here on Thursday. That was as it cleared the 41.05 level, so I got a nice quick 2% run there before it rested for the remainder of the day. So nice little move there. And I also took a trade on Thursday in this HOS, which is this Hombeck Offshore Services. Nice bullish pattern. We saw this very large ascending triangle pattern cleared to the upside with a nice move higher. Then we saw kind of a 2-week pullback here, which is pretty orderly, pretty quiet. It did not come with any heavy downside volume at all, and it only gave back a portion of this move right here. So this breakout obviously still had plenty of room, and it never was tested. So I wanted to get long above this trend line if price could push back through it, which it did on Thursday. We saw this stock clear that trend line and move higher as it crossed the $40.75 level. That was my trigger price, which I shared with subscribers the night before. And got a real steady uptrend intraday to the 42.02 level, which was a $1.27 move, or 3.1%. So it was a really nice trade there. Friday, like I mentioned, I was presenting to a live group of traders in Atlanta. We had about, over the course of a couple days, a little under 300 people. So it was a really nice event. For those of you who made it out to that, I'm glad I got to see you there. Thanks for coming. Those of you who did not make it, I may be in one of your cities at some point as well, and hope to see you there. I did take one swing trade last week, or I should say I did close out one swing trade. It was in Whole Foods Market, WFM, and this was the initial entry right back here. So what we had, the setup here, going back a few weeks, was the stock had kind of cleared resistance here, and then one more time it had kind of created this little trend line, and then we saw a real nice surge higher. This little quiet pullback offered kind of another rhythmic little setup here. I was wanting to get long through this trend line break, which I did a few weeks ago, and this thing really just never really moved higher. My initial stop was right in this area, and it never was hit, and it still hasn't been hit. But this thing lifted initially some, but not much, and just kind of moved around. It floundered around, and then it kind of carved out this next resistance level. And even after pushing through there, it still wasn't able to build on that breakout. It kind of faltered a little bit, and I ultimately got stopped out last week, and that was on Tuesday. That was right here on Tuesday. I had aggressively raised my stop to a multi-day low. Essentially, that's what I was looking for. I had felt like this thing had been given a few weeks to go. It wasn't doing so. It did not stop me out, but it was not lifting like I would have expected. And then as it crossed a secondary level here, that offered either an opportunity to add or just to have a little bit higher conviction in the trade. I did not add, but it crossed this level and then couldn't hold it. So I stopped out right here on Tuesday's bar. That was at $81.79 as it had hesitated. But essentially, I just locked in a small gain here. It was a little over 1% of a winner, and I felt like it was wise to tighten stops and raise cash with the major indices starting to undercut their uptrend lines, just as a defensive move in case we finally did see a market correction start to kick in. Obviously, the market has rebounded some as well, and this stock has lifted too. So the trend is still up, but volume at this point is still not confirming the advance in price. So I'm not real eager here to initiate another trade in it just yet. All right, so I'm just going to leave it alone, but I did close it out for a 1% gain. And I've still got some open an open swing position at the moment while I'm recording this video. I cover every one of them once they're closed, but while I'm in the trades, I only discuss them with subscribers at the site. So there's a look at last week's trades. I didn't get to take as many trades as I would normally like to. I like having a larger sample size of trades. I've got a technical edge, and I want as many opportunities as I can to put that edge to work. But that's sometimes just how the market is. Sometimes you don't get as many signals as you want. So I did the best with what the market offered, and that was enough for a positive week. Another positive week. That's never a bad thing. So this week is already off to a nice start. I'm recording this Monday night. We had a couple of really nice trades today. So if you would like to see more about how I trade and you're not already a member, stop by the site at thestockbandit.com. We offer a free trial you can take to see if it's a fit for you. And if it's education that you're after, be sure and check out our courses as well. Thanks for joining me for this video. I will have more for you soon, but in the meantime, trade like a bandit.